Now that the character's set up interacting with the gun properly, we can begin to create the emission. I need to emit particles from the barrel of the gun, so I'm actually going to go in and select the rifle and just kind of frame in on it and have a look at the barrel. And the problem is we can't really use any existing geometry here to emit from because we've got a hole. So I'm going to have to go and use a polygonal object. I'll use a disk object, and I'll just set the inner radius to 0, so essentially it's not a disk, it's a flattened cylinder. And I think what I'll also do is take the outer radius down to about 1. It's going to have a very small size. I need to get it up into place, so to move it roughly into position, I'm going to match position to the gun control, and along the local axis, and move it along the local axis forward and rotate into position. I just have to make sure that the normals are pointing in the correct direction. They're pointing upwards, so I'll rotate the object so that the normals point in the direction I want the emission to occur. Next, I'm going to take the outer radius attribute just by pressing enter, and I'm going to make that a little smaller. I'm just getting us to the size of the actual barrel opening. I can of course turn off the surface normals now. I'll hit F to frame in a little more. And that looks pretty good. If I really want to cap off the inside here, I could even draw a couple polygons. Use the N hotkey to do that, to draw some new polygons, and there we go. I can freeze that off, and of course triangulate them if I need to, but that should do just fine. I might even want to go and remove some edge loops, but in this case, this is just fine for an emission. I'll place the emission a little further ahead, and this will be apparent in a moment. We can always move our emission back and forth, but we're going to be emitting some long, thin particles, and the problem with particles is that their center position is always at the emission point. So unless we find a way to offset the center position so it's at the base of the particle, where the particle would emit from, we need to compensate for this. So this now becomes my emission object. We'll call this the laser blast emission. Alright, I'm going to move that onto the gun object, so I'll just drag and drop it onto the rifle SRT, so that as the rifle moves, so does the emission object.